Algunas veces la señora no se siente bien. Entonces vos vas a acercarte a ella para hablar o pones música.
Hay una pintura de Di Jiménez. ¿Por qué será que la...?
Tenía una deuda más. La acusaron de estafa y le mandaron adentro. Lo mismo que a mí.
Chiqui, ¿por cuánto tiempo?
Chela, tranquila, tranquila. Bueno, ya.
Chiquita se fue a Punta del Este.
Fantástico. Está bien como un cáncer.
Vos no deberías andar manejando. Ni registro tenés. Imagínate si chocas. Salgo yo y entramos.
Disculpame, ¿será que me puedes llevar acá cerca un rato?
Sí, ¿cómo no?
Vamos.
Oh, loca. Divina. Que canta, que llora, que ríe, que reza. Atrévete.
Algo te pasa.
Abrí un poco tu boca ahí.
Nada.
Tenía novia. A ellos yo les debo todo lo que sé de mi cuerpo.
Chela.
Necesito hablar contigo. Me parece que es para mí.
The movie is here, so please welcome to the stage Marcelo Martinessi.
So, yes, thank you very much for this beautiful film, Marcelo Martinessi. You're the first-time director for this film, The Herederas, and you have already won over 27 festival awards during this year since it's premiered in the Berlinale. So I wanted to give you the first question quite directly. What inspired you, and what was the first idea to make this film?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for coming and for staying. And I just want to apologize because if there is someone from Paraguay, this is a beautiful song. And we can never play when we are with fast Q&As, but it's on the webpage and everywhere. It's a very beautiful song. And thank you very much for this opportunity to talk about the film. And really, it's very difficult for me sometimes to really understand where exactly the idea comes from, but I think in many ways it has to do with the fact that I grew up in a world of women, you know, aunties, mothers, sisters, ladies in the neighborhoods, and I always heard women talking, sometimes gossiping, like talking like the older group here, talking about each other, and sometimes when I was writing, I always heard their voices. When I was trying to write or trying to do anything, it was the first thing that came to my mind. And I also had the chance, when I was writing, to think about people I knew and try to say, maybe this is this person, maybe this is this other person. And I have an auntie, for example, who has a tray very similar to the one in the film with coffee, water, and I thought it was normal. I thought everybody had that when I was a child, and then later on I realized that that was quite unique. So all these things came to my mind, and I started working around them. And I also like a lot female cinema. For example, Fassbinder is a director I really admire, Todd Haynes. So I said I want to work on that with that kind of cinema.
I see. Nice. And so to switch on to the main woman in the film, the main character, I think she's really amazing, the character of Sheila and the interpretation of Anna Brun, who, I mean, with her facial expressions and with her interiority is so powerful. How did you create the character, and can you also talk a bit about the casting process, how you find her and how you work with her?
For me, the story was, when I was writing, it was very, because you never know if you're going to make another film, so you want to put everything when you make a first film. And I also wanted, at a metaphorical level, to talk about my country and the silence in my country, and also the way we feel imprisoned in many ways. I mean, for those who don't know about Paraguay, in 1989, we had the dictator left after 35 years. So he was there when my father was 11 years old, and he left when I was 16. So this is a whole two generations strongly affected by the feeling of living in an authoritarian regime. And I feel Chela, the character, in many ways, is a consequence of this system of silence and claustrophobia in many ways. And she's in a prison of a relationship, and she's in a prison of a social class. And she only realizes this when Chiquita, her partner, goes to a real prison, and then she realizes these prisons, and she started her coming out in a way. Anna Brun is a lawyer, actually, and a friend who read the script said, you have to meet Anna Brun. You know, it was like he was very clear that she could do this. And I remember I called my mother and asked her, do you know a woman? And she said, I don't know her that well, but I remember her eyes. And her eyes are really key to the film. So when I met her, really quickly I wanted to work with her. I wasn't sure if she was going to play Chela, because she's very different than this character. She's very outgoing, very funny, all the time laughing. She doesn't look like, she's not like the character. But she has done some theater. This is her first time in cinema. She has done some theater pieces, and she's a lawyer. So I asked her, I also told her this is my first film, and I wanted her to help me cast the rest of the movie. So with Anna Brun, we cast Chiquita, Angie, and Patty, the woman that works in the house, the maid. And it was a great process, because we don't have I don't know how it's here in Sweden, but we don't have an industry in Paraguay, so we don't have the times of the industry. We could really work. I mean, Chiquita and Chela went a lot to my house. We rehearsed a lot. I cast them about a year before we started shooting, because we were going to start earlier. And this time, not every week, but we met each other several times, and I asked them to really perform and rehearse, because I wanted to see the movie in my head. So they were really, I mean, this is what happens when you come from a country where cinema is still almost a miracle. So it was really nice.
Just to jump on to the last thing you said about Paraguay, because there's not a lot of Paraguayan cinema which could be seen here in Sweden. What does it mean to you to have this huge international success as a Paraguayan director?
Paraguay had, during the dictatorship, we didn't have any feature film. We had a few medium length, and we had one feature film that was a propaganda feature film. So there were many years of what we call years of darkness without cinema in the country. And I feel that we only started about 20 years ago, having some sort of one film per year, then two, now we are probably between 4 and 5. But we have an action film, a comedy, also horror film, and I like that. Some film might not get out of the country, but they're really important for the local audiences. And this is a film difficult to digest for a Paraguayan audience that is not used to this kind of cinema. So it was also interesting to see what happened with the film in Paraguay. It created a debate, because it's a very Catholic, conservative society, and probably part of the society would only focus in the sexual aspect of the film instead of focusing in everything else. But anyway, the exercise of making the film and showing it to Paraguay was really nice for us.
I just wanted to ask, I didn't really understand why she had to go to jail.
Yeah, and we don't explain much, as you can see, as many things on the film. And they had a debt, and what she says at some point, in a couple of moments in the film, is that she had to sign something that, like promissory notes, and that's why she went into a trial and went to prison. In a way, in Paraguay, if you have a debt, you don't go to prison. But if you owe money to a bank, they could find ways of making you sign documents that you will be accused of fraud. And fraud is the charges that that they read in prison and she mentions in the house. For me, it was also important, and talking about cultural codes here, the fact that if they still were from the elite, they will never go to prison. Because people from the elite doesn't go to prison in most Latin American do not go to prison in most Latin American countries. This is also a way of showing that they were losing status and they no longer belong to the class they used to belong.
Other questions?
Yes, I liked your film. I liked your film. The cultural background, the dialogues, the music. And I'm interested especially in dialogues. When you write your dialogues, do you create them or you said that you're used to listen how women talk.
And I really like your question, because dialogue is the reason of most rewriting. You know, you write and rewrite and rewrite until it sounds organic and natural to the story. And for me, the writing the dialogues was, just to give you an example, in the scene with the old ladies, you cannot really write a precise dialogue because they won't learn. So when they were in the car, I told Pituca, do you remember that woman that you told me? Because she always goes sipping about other people. So I said, and they are best friends. Anna Brun and Pituca, the one that plays Pituca, are best friends. So they said, oh, let's talk about my neighbor. And they talk about the neighbor, or they talk about someone they knew in order to make it seem natural. And and they read the script, so they never went too far out of the script. They had this idea, but they gave it identity with the way they talk. And in the case of Angie, you know Angie, the younger character that at the end, towards the end of the film, they have dinner together. I wrote many beautiful, I was very happy with the dialogues of Angie. And she's a very professional actress, and she learned all the dialogues very well. And my problem was, when I was seeing her performance, I didn't believe it. It was too controlled, and she needed to be someone a bit unsettled. So on set, I changed all her dialogues in order to make her, for me, more believable.
Thank you. Yes, I'm from Bolivia, but it's a long time I have been living in Sweden. And my first question was, if you were from Paraguay, but you said you were.
Yeah.
Thank you.
One last question.
question.
Then we have to go.
We have one in the middle there.
Well, this is a Paraguayan group over here, representing you, or actually being very happy to be here. And I would like to speak of give you some words of appreciation. I felt very represented from the way that the characters have spoken and the way they talk. Why I say this is because I don't know if there is Spanish-speaking people here. You probably realize that we place the subject and the verbs and the nouns in different ways. When I left Paraguay and I met people from other Spanish-speaking countries, they always ask me, "Why do you speak like that?" And I was like, "Look at the spider, very big it is." And they said, no, you have to say, it is very big. And I never understood that. And every time I went to the theater or to the cinema in Paraguay with Paraguayan actors, I didn't really like it. I didn't really appreciate it because they spoke very correctly. And I thought, no, why? They are Paraguayans. They are speaking very theatrical. It was so forced. I didn't really appreciate it. But later on in my life, when I met these people and they told me that we spoke a little bit funny, then I understood. Oh, that it is. I mean, yeah. And today, watching this movie, I felt like, yeah, I'm so happy.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You can all go out that way because there's a lot of people at that exit, so please exit this way.